All right, second question. What do you think about the idea of mestizaje and which identities do you think it represents when it comes to the history that we've done?
Can you...
Use that one to be sharp. Next question. What does the word Latino mean to you? I'm starting right 11:10 from now on. If you guys aren't in and you're late, you're probably going to have to redo stuff, so it's all good, man. There's something back there. What does the word Latino mean to you?
If you don't understand my letter, that I don't see very well.
And then write down some wonderings. What are you curious about when it comes to this idea of mestizo? And what are you curious about thinking about the word Latino? Words fascinate me. Where do they come from? Who made it up? Spanish, you have things ending in O and A depending on the gender. You have a group of 99 girls and it's ellos, but if you put one boy in there, it becomes ellos. That doesn't seem particularly fair or equitable.
But if you have a group of 99 girls and you put one girl...
It's still ellos. But it's 99 girls, ellos. You put one boy in there, it's ellos. Just saying. All right, so, yeah. Go ahead.
Gobierno después de la revolución se promovió una ideología de Estado para.
All right, sorry. So this one is talking about mestizaje, and you might get some new information about mestizaje. So read it through or listen to it through, and then you'll write stuff down. Here we go.
Gobierno después de la revolución se promovió una ideología de Estado para unificar a la nación, para llamar a cerrar filas y pues que hubiera una identidad nacional como pueblo mexicano y se apeló al mestizaje.
La llamada raza de bronce, que, sin embargo, tan solo sirvió para excluir de la esfera pública e invisibilizar las raíces indígenas y las comunidades originarias. El albergue Casa de los Mil Colores, donde Aparicio realiza clases de campo con sus estudiantes, atiende a decenas de personas originarias con enfermedades graves que deben desplazarse hasta la capital desde lugares remotos por las dificultades de acceso a la salud. Una muestra de la discriminación institucional, social y económica que para la directora del centro ha provocado que la población reniegue de su legado indígena.
Mira, yo creo que hay un inconsciente colectivo, histórico, que nos hace negarnos con nuestra raíz india. No la podemos ver porque desde que hemos nacido como nación y desde que nacemos en nuestras propias familias, hay expectativas de borrar.
Unos estereotipos negativos que se han reproducido durante siglos. A partir de los 70 y 80 surge un movimiento indigenista en la cultura y la academia, que culmina en los años 90 con el reconocimiento de los derechos a indígenas como parte de la diversidad de México.
Se nos enseñó que toda esta raíz era negativa para el desarrollo del país. Entonces hemos emprendido una campaña para poder desarticular este racismo del Estado, de ver qué había atrás de este proceso de mestizaje, en sí que eran nuestros pueblos originarios, y sobre eso estamos tratando de impulsarlo en los diferentes espacios, tanto públicos como privados, y también afortunadamente cada vez ya hay más intelectuales indígenas que están promoviendo este rescate de nuestra identidad.
Académicas y activistas como Aparicio, que se han impuesto una discriminación histórica para recuperar la dignidad indígena entre la sociedad mexicana.
El gobierno mexicano tan solo utilizó la mitad del presupuesto designado al Instituto para el Desarrollo de Pueblos Indígenas en el segundo trimestre y para este año ha recortado un 40% ese presupuesto. En su lugar apuesta por la entrega de apoyos sociales directos a la población indígena.
All right, so write down some learnings about the concept of mestizaje. So what did you learn during that video? Okay, check in with the partner sitting next to you. What did you say? What did they say? Do you agree? All right, 3, 2, 1, 0. Remember, one of the things that we need to start understanding is that mestizo or mestizaje is the idea of two races combining. That's just the beginning of it. Okay, that's just the first part. That's a very superficial thing. We should start understanding now as to why the things were put into place, what caused it to happen, and what might be some problems with it. What might be some things that were some effects that may have been negative. All right? A lot of times you look at something, you can kind of discern that there's some negative things about it and also some positive things. All right, we are going to look at a series of paintings. Again, the topic of mestizaje being the focal point. I want you to look and study each painting. And I want you to think of yourself. Who is the focus of the painting? And might there be anyone being ignored? You might be waiting for that until the very end of the painting. So try to figure out, are there people not included in the paintings? And here's the first one. Take a moment, study it. I mean, that could be El Retiro for all I know, but who's the focus point? A lot of times in paintings, I might be wrong on this, and some of you know more about painting than I do. A lot of times you look at where the eyes are going, and that'll kind of draw your attention somewhere. A lot of times you want to split things up into thirds. Right, so like she is a focal point, he is a focal point, but you can also see that he's taller than she is, which most men are taller than most women, so that's not a surprise. Maybe looking at skin tones. Does that seem accurate, you painters out there? From what you've learned about painting? The thirds. Alright, here's another one. Again, what's the focal point? Who's there? Maybe who's missing? Yep. check in with your partner. What do you think so far? Who's the focus point? Anybody you haven't seen so far that you would expect to see? All right, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you, partner. Awesome. Emma, thoughts to share that you and Maximo shared? What's not there? You're not sure, quite sure yet. If something's been ignored. Yep, Chris?
Like there's they haven't shown any black earth.
Like African. Okay? So that could be something that we could pay attention to. Alright? Have we seen any like true indigenous people like with clothes on that represented someone from the indigenous population? Yep.
I think I see there's like two señores, and one is like more white and the other one is like a little bit more darker, and there's a child like a little bit more darker and down.
Well, this one is that's probably his wife.
Okay.
I know you just said your height stuff. Next one. Sanchez, what's that? Okay. She's carrying the baby. That's more like indigenous garb, right? Not necessarily European clothes. So, that shouldn't be there. Yeah. This one right here?
No, not the other one.
This? That's one you see a necklace, earrings. One would assume it's his wife. Good.
Normally, the whiter skin are like the more. But
Okay, so.
the picture is like that. I don't know, but the other picture. And I was all the two women have a necklace of that.
Okay, so we see some Catholicism there?
Yes.
Okay. Would the indigenous people's religion have been Catholicism? Would be Catholics? Would they have been Catholics before the Europeans got there?
No.
No. So this would be another indicator of adopting the culture and ignoring your own past. And why did they do that? So that they could fit in, so that they get power, get access, so they get. Some people will do anything for their children. All right? We have someone who needs their child to be protected. They need their child to have a future. Right? So you conform. You let go of your beliefs. Maybe you lie. Maybe you practice your beliefs in hidden. That happened a lot too. Were there any Africans shown? Why do you think that we have some indigenous people in the paintings, but not African people? Go ahead and talk to your partner and take some looks like. Maybe she's the daughter of. Maybe she's mestizaje. All right, 3, 2, 1, 0. Back at our desk. Camilo, what's up?
I think that maybe to that and up to now there have been no Africans because maybe like on that like épocas where like where they trying to do things, the Africans were enslaved and they were working all the time until that. So actually they couldn't like they couldn't like register who were or when.
Okay. So they were kind of worse. Treated worse, right, than the indigenous people. Why? I'm sorry, I got distracted by people. What was that, Sanchez? I apologize. They were darker. Okay. They were darker. They were slaves. Remember? Yeah, Chris.
That because with the Africans were younger and they were already like sometidos and they were fighting back. But with the indigenous they were fighting. So the mestizaje was a way like to maintain peace because like how we already said that the indigenous were like militarily in that places they were better at military. So they could like one indigenous could kill a bunch of indigenous.
Okay.
And the animals killed them all. The animals killed them all.
So a way of keeping peace, indigenous had some power, right? I mean, they had all the power when Europe showed up. At no point had Africans had any power in South America because they were brought there, right? Again, there were kings, there were empires, there were people with power that were indigenous, and the Spanish wanted to maybe control it. But a lot of times you look at the ruler, and you're like, these are good genetics. This is a good family. These are the people that I'm going to have children with so that my children are powerful. Right? All right. What might be dangerous about the concept of mestizaje? So write down a little thought yourself, and then we're going to watch a video on it. Write down a little thought. What might be dangerous about the concept of mestizaje? You should have some thoughts. We have talked about it a lot, and what some negatives of it might be. Again, just a quick jot. Let's see what Mr. Ramirez has to say.
Claro, en realidad es un argumento bastante simple. Los países latinoamericanos desde inicios del siglo XX han venido repitiendo constantemente de que el mestizaje salvadoreño es una suerte de mezcla entre indígenas y españoles y que nosotros como salvadoreños hoy en día somos el resultado de esa mezcla, pero esa mezcla perfecta, esa mezcla que toma lo mejor del mundo hispano y toma lo mejor del mundo indígena, y eso es lo que nos conforma hoy en día como salvadoreños. El gran problema de esta propuesta es que deja por fuera todo otro grupo humano que no sea el europeo y el indígena. Por lo tanto, el grupo africano, que dio aportes importantes hacia la cultura.
Okay. So what was his message about what might be dangerous about the concept of mestizaje? Check to see what you had said and see if it's aligned.
Claro, en realidad es un argumento bastante simple.
Sorry. What's up? All right, 3, 2, 1, 0. I didn't say this before, and it should be obvious. If you are wanting to write your notes and your thoughts about this in Spanish, please do. You do not have to be translating into English. It's kind of your choice. If you want to go back and forth, again, you have two languages, so why not use them? Okay.
Can I say why it's dangerous?
Sure.
Maybe because it's something that you kidnap him or steal it.
Steal what?
Him.
Not steal the person.
Yes. Y en vez de What pasa? Dice, don't you very confident for creative.
And why does that have to do with mestizaje?
Wait, mestizo is two different colors. Different color and the other one.
So like taking the person by force.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that happened, especially at the beginning. There was probably some women who were not wanting to be mothers, that were probably made to be wives and mothers by families. A lot of times in the past, and still in some countries, you have things called arranged marriages, where they put people together and they say, you are going to marry this person, whether you want to or not. And when they look at the data, there's some very successful marriages. More successful than people finding each other, on average. Probably because of the commitment and the religion and stuff and how divorce is like illegal, probably. But when they interview them about happiness, more content than other marriages. All right, what are some ways the term Latino might be complicated? So again, now you're thinking about mestizaje. What is the term Latino? Where might it come from? And what might be a problem with it? What might be? We're going to watch a couple videos to give some people point of view on it.
In our history is a history of African people, indigenous people, Europeans, conquistadores, all.
What might be complicated about the term Latino? That was the question.
All these different people colliding, many times not with their consent. So that informs all these loaded issues people have.
It's like navigating three identities. If you're from the States, you're American, you're Black, and you're Latina. And furthermore, wherever country that you identify in coming from. And that's a lot to navigate.
Es un mundo que decimos que tenemos un latino unidos, pero con el mismo tiempo tenemos que terminar la discriminación entre nosotros los latinos.
Estamos como estamos porque somos racistas entre nosotros mismos, entre nuestra propia gente. ¿Sabes qué? No nos apoyamos.
I always feel like I'm never Latina enough because of my skin color, because of my hair.
I would just hear my family be like, oh, don't go out with somebody that's dark-skinned, que no salga con un negro. Arregla la raza.
Dark skin in the Latino community isn't considered beautiful.
We've been colonized so poorly that we want to identify with being white so much, not all of us, but many of us, that we look down on dark skin.
Tú como negro latino tienes dos problemas. Primero, eres negro, te discriminan por negro. Y segundo, eres latino y te discriminan por latino. Eso es doble minoría.
Okay, so again, what might be some problems with the term Latino when it comes to the ideas that those people shared with us?
Es un mundo que decimos que tenemos un latino.
Every time. So what makes it complicated, the term Latino? They talked about different identities that they try to identify with, some problems maybe in the Latino community. And they may have been talking about the United States, but one would assume people from Colombia would have some different terms on that as well. final check-in with your partner? What might be some ways that the term Latino is complicated? Not fast five, it's something else. So the paper I'm handing out is not for the fast five, it's for something else. 3, 2, 1, 0. So I heard somebody talk about the idea of discrimination, that there is discrimination within the Latino community when it comes to skin color, maybe hair. And it does seem like what they were saying is that the darker skin color you have, the more you're discriminated against. Do you think that that happens in Colombia?
Yes.
Do you think Colombia has some sort of an issue when it comes to this idea of discrimination of possibly African community? Talk to each other. No, just talk to each other. No, talk to each other. Do you think Colombia has an issue with this? What do you think? Three, two, one. Sitting back down at our desk. Thoughts. What do we think? Oh, so what do we think?
People discriminate because they like Latino and you're from a city not so good, like a country not so good, like the type of music and your cities.
Are you talking about Colombia specifically?
No, like,
So, but the question was like this idea of Colombia. Do you think there's discrimination within Colombia?
yes.
Well, what type of discrimination do you think there is? And you can ask for help. You can take a risk. I know I forget to do that sometimes. I get frustrated.
Like that Pablo Escobar and other people yes, like in United States they think like Colombia is only Pablo Escobar.
So like people outside of the country might discriminate against people from the country. Now, the question I'm more talking about is within the country of Colombia, do you think there are certain do you think some Colombians discriminate against other Colombians? That's more the question, not necessarily from out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, because like when we go like I don't know to some places in Colombia there are black people and like other people that like they are white they discriminate a lot of people and bad stuff to them.
Okay, so you see things like with verbal abuse when it comes to discrimination. Alicia, yeah. Okay, specifically in the coast area? Okay. Elisa? You can call on somebody else. Yeah.
What I think is that maybe like if you're from like a big city where you have like a lot of resources and you go like to or like someone from a not very like good resource pueblo or from somewhere that is not very safe. The people from like you say like from a higher estrato.